very quick. You guys have about 8 minutes, so rapid fire. Like,
Why should people be excited?
Why not? Because we're excited about it. It's been a lot of fun to work on, and we have 4 main characters, 4 different kinds of gameplay, so you can choose whichever you like best. You can indulge the narrative of the character you like best. There's a lot of choices you can make here that are really custom tailored to different types of players.
I'm curious about the combat style. Does it differ between the characters?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Different combat styles for each of them, very different. That's why these characters were chosen, because they're different to start with. But also unique animation sets per character. Unique skills and abilities per character. Everything is customized.
With your stunt background, does that come into how you do performance? Like, you know, recording all the grunts and the punches, and like, how do you bring that into it?
That's such a good question. I did a lot of the performance capture as well, and with my stunt background, I picked up some tonfas and started to actually learn that. There is someone who's doing like the full-on stunt, really cool stuff, but it absolutely affects the way she moves. She's an athlete, and that's going to be a different movement in her performance capture. But then also when I'm doing the voiceover and we're doing all the grunts, like you said, I've been hit a bunch, so I know what that feels like and how to make that a realistic thing. And I've punched a bunch of people, so I also know how to make that sound real.
Did I mention amazing when we were talking about her?
So which we've seen a lot of versions of Batgirl over the years. How would you describe your
Our Batgirl. I like to think of it as, Voltron. There's a bunch of different things that go into creating each of these characters. But our Batgirl is always the adult in the room when she's dealing with all the other knights. She's got the sense of humor, she's got the intelligence, she's got the strategy. There's a lot of very familiar things about her, but just the earnestness and the sincerity is what I try to bring to her.
What kind of relationship does she have with the other members of the Bat family?
At first, really rocky, and that's part of the beauty of it, is that this is not an origin story. All these characters know each other. All these characters have their very own, very different history with each other, and so that is part of the growth of each of the characters, is learning how to come together to fill this void after the death of Batman and work with each other whether they like it or not.
so who's your favorite character next to Batgirl?
I have a lot of fun with Nightwing. The way that our characters are written together, the history of Batgirl and Nightwing, there's a lot of fun stuff going in there. And then Christopher, who plays Nightwing, is also hilarious and did a ton of squats to prepare for the role. So you know his head is in the right space.
So quick question on the voiceover. Because I know similar in the Spider-Man game where they've recorded multiple things where he's running, so he's out of breath. Did you guys do any of that work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like you have pretty much the same dialogue, but just like, okay, I'm out of breath, or the dialogue continues to just finish walking.
Are you talking about
Like a dynamic voiceover type?
No, we didn't. Things were in circumstance enough, so when we're doing barks, we've always got different types of barks to accommodate for that.
Okay.
But in terms of the lines themselves, we were in context enough most of the time that we just had one take to do.
Okay.
This is why she's here.
Gotcha.
To keep me in check.
I can send you things now and then. I love that they're asking questions. It is great.
These are good questions.
Yeah.
Obviously, the game is going to be hugely, interesting to Arkham game fans. Can you talk a little bit, like, I don't know if you can compare at all and say, like, how much more there might be to explore, in this game, or, how it might differ?
The Arkham games are amazing, but we're doing something different. Like, I don't feel a need to compare.
Okay.
We're each doing our own thing the best as we can in the directions we chose to go into. That said, we have a fully explorable Gotham City. It's a city riddled with crime that you get to engage with, as well as a storyline about, focusing on the Court of Owls that you also get to explore when you want. You can choose what you want to do. If you want to do the main story, if you want to do the side content. It's not side content. If you want to do the crime in the city, etc., you've got a lot of choices and a lot of things to experience.
No spoilers, but can you give us a teaser on perhaps the most emotionally difficult scene for you to shoot or to record?
I love that one.
I can't talk about the character.
We can tell you there are character arcs. We can tell you that
There are, in fact, very emotional scenes.
Yes, we can tell you there are emotional scenes. We can tell you there's some we shared with the team and people were like the crying emoji and everything.
That are gorgeously written, and clearly coming from a place of research and love of the character and love of the world. But that's it. That's all I'm allowed to say.
How did you come down from that emotional scene?
It was hard. It it was definitely a challenge, but it was interesting because of the way that it was written, it made it so easy to get into it, and then I just needed some time afterwards to process it. But it was beautiful, particularly beautiful scene. I think it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, I wish I could answer it.
So were there any specific storylines from the comics or other mediums that you guys used besides the Arkham games or anything like that to kind of guide the story forward? Obviously the Court of Owls and all that
So
stuff.
yeah, we used the Court of Owls from Scott Snyder, which is a fantastic story. Obviously it's a comic book format, it's a linear format, but it was a great foundation for us to build a layer to make this into an interactive narrative experience, right?
Yeah.
But also, look, my team loves these characters, our actors loves these characters. But we read as many comic books as we could get our hands on. We read the like Grayson for Dick, and then we read Batgirl of Burnside. But we also read like a lot of stuff. We didn't stick to one, right?
Okay.
And also, my writers are fans of the characters, and I had one writer per character who owned that voice, who owned that story, and kept it consistent throughout the game.
And how does like playing with the different characters, like, because I know you can switch, you can go back and does the different characters affect the gameplay? Is like, are there certain levels or areas that might be easier depending on your skills?
So depending on how you want to play your play style and what you think is easier or not, you can swap characters to play a mission, and maybe you want to go and just hit things, or maybe you just want to go and sneak around, but every character offers you a different way to play through a level. But you can also go, I want to experience the story of this character, and just stick to one character for all of it if you want.
But you can swap out in the middle of it as well.
And then you can do the co-op as well. Is that like, can someone just jump in at any time? Or do you have to...
I believe so, you can in co-op, yes. You might want to check with PR to confirm that.
Yeah, capture.
Can you describe this version of Gotham City? Because some, lean into more of an Art Deco, operatic thing, and then others are like this really urbanized, like,
Oh man, our open world team and our art team and our art director did so much research on this, and I wish they would be here to answer you on that. It's neon noir. It's based on what the greeniness and the texture and everything that comes from the Court of Owls, and that is pervasive throughout our city. But if you ever get a chance to talk to our art director, please make sure you ask him that question. Maybe you can talk to Kyo about that. He's going to have a lot to tell you about that. Dan did a great job with it. It's a city that breathes and lives atmosphere.
Who's your own favorite Batgirl? Any screen version that you're particularly?
I really like Stephanie Brown by Cassandra Cain. I love all the versions of Barbara Gordon. I love her as Oracle. I've had a long love affair with Batgirl for a while, just because for a long time she was one of the only women you never actually see in the comic book. But my first was Barbara Gordon, and then I fell in love with Stephanie, and Cassandra Cain is just a whole other experience. So so it's like a Sophie's Choice situation to ask for my favorite, but they've each brought something so unique.
What are you bringing to your version of Barbara to kind of set her apart from other ones that we may have seen in animated?
It's so hard because I've loved every version of her that it's hard to think of myself as trying to make her different. I don't necessarily feel the need to make her my own. But the thing that I've loved, that I'm pulling in the traits that I've loved about her through time. So her sense of humor, her intelligence, and her earnestness and sincerity in every moment has been the things that I've always responded to her through everything.
And this is also recently after her recovery.
Yeah.
So is that like coming to the storyline or abilities? Like, is there a reference?
It is referenced, and it is.
It's an organic part of who she is as a character.
Yeah.
The Belfry was hers before, and there are signs of that that are easy to see. There's a moment that I can't tell you about that will reflect that history very well too in our cinematics. But it is absolutely acknowledged and integral to who she is.
Yeah, and one of the things that I will say is that it was really important to me. It was one of my first questions when I was talking to them about how do we address this fact, right? Because Oracle was such an important character in comic books for so many people, and how do you address this? And they had put so much thought and so much love into figuring out what that that journey was for her, so that it wouldn't be something that dismissed anybody. And that was really important.
We were very fortunate to get to work with able gamers about this. So they reviewed all of our scenes, all of our lines. They consulted with them. They gave us advice. We're responsible for anything in the game, but able gamers really helped us direct into a positive direction.
Everyone, there's one more question left. If you're at the round
Who
table.
did not get tasked a question yet? Everyone got tasked one? Okay. What's the last one?
Well, I have one. I don't know if you can address it, but with co-op, do we know if cross-play is going to be in play yet, or is it local co-op?
I do not have that answer. I'm sorry, I don't know.
No problem. Okay, thank
You'll
you.
follow up? Thank you.
One more?
One more?
So, from conceptualization to launch, what are you both proudest about bringing to life with this game?
Honestly, the characters and how they interact with each other. Not as superheroes necessarily, but the spaces in the Belfry during the day when there are people who are like learning to adjust to situations and how they react to how the story progresses and gel together as a team. We worked really closely with the cinematics and animation for that. And the growth and the changes of those relationships. Like that was my first goal, was to really show that, and we kept through that. We were faithful to it, and I'm really proud about that. Thank you.